Hello class, welcome to our lesson today. We're going to switch gears a little bit from our probability and statistics and focus in on a specific probability dealing with the game of euchre. We're probably not going to have as much time to spend on that as I would like as we kind of move through this semester. But today I want to start with just an introduction to the game. I've asked many of you already to make sure you start to understand how to play and how it works. So I'll be going through some details about the game today, and then the next couple lessons will be dealing some things with probability, dealing with the euchre unit. The game of euchre mainly came from German settlers in the state of Pennsylvania. Uh, it comes from a German game that was popular and it was brought over to the United States called Euchrespiel. And it was popularized in the Midwest. And so, if you've grown up in Indiana your whole life, you've probably seen signs for euchre tournaments at different places and venues throughout the state. Um, if you've lived in other places outside of the Midwest, you probably have never heard of the game until you moved to the Midwest, because it's mainly a regional game, more so than anything. For example, I know when I go to visit a few family members in other states, they always say, let's play euchre because a lot of people that live around them haven't played before. There are lots of versions of euchre. There's 3-player euchre, there's 4-player, there's bid euchre. There's a lot of versions that we could play. The focus is mainly on the 4-player game, which is a 2v2, or 2 people against another 2 people on a team. The deck of cards used in a euchre deck is not the 52 standard cards of the deck. There's only 24 cards that are used, and it's the 9 through ace, so 9, 10, jack, queen, king of each suit. So remember, there's 4 suits. There's hearts and diamonds, which are the red suits, and then the black suits are spades and clubs. So we only use those 24 cards in the game of euchre, which makes the game go a lot faster. The dealing of the cards is after they're shuffled, the dealer will hand 5 cards to each player. Now, one of the interesting rules about the game of euchre is you don't deal 1 at a time. Typically, you deal 2 or 3 out at a time, and then it would take 2 rounds to deal out the cards. I think that's mainly for a couple of reasons. One is it's a little bit faster, and number 2 is the way the shuffling's done and the dealing piece is that everyone can count their cards in a quick manner. Since there are 24 cards, there should be 20 cards out in the field of play because each person would have 5 cards. That leaves 4 cards left over that are unknown. So the whole point of the euchre game is to figure out kind of what you have and what your partners have and what the opponents have. However, there's always a few cards that are unknown in the deck. Those 4 cards are called the kitty, and the top of those 4 cards is flipped over, and that's the card that we're going to look at to see if we want it to be what's known as the trump suit. In order to call the trump suit, we go around the circle starting with the person to the left of the dealer. That person will look at all their cards and say if they want the suit turned up to be called trump. If they call it, the dealer is the one that gets to pick the card up and put a card face down to replace 1 card in their hand. If that person passes, then it continues to go around the circle until it gets back to the dealer. Once the deal is once the trump suit, has been chosen or not chosen one time around the circle, if everyone passes, that card is flipped over. Once everyone has passed, then each player gets a chance to call trump again. So let's say a spade was flipped up, everyone has passed, and now it goes back to the first player again. That person could call anything but spades, and then you go around the circle again. Depending on the game that you're playing, some families play that the dealer has to call trump, and that's called stick the dealer. I tend to play that way just because it keeps the game moving. There are other games where if everyone passes, you just pass. You say, well, what's the downfall of that? Well, it's because if you're the team that gets to pick up the card, you're getting a better card typically, and you've lost that luxury to do so. So you go around the circle once, see if you want the top card of the kitty to be trump. If everyone passes it, then you turn it face down, then go around one more time to see what the trump suit will be. After trump is called, you have to think about what cards you have and how they rank. So the jack of the suit that's called is called the right bower. Okay, it also means right farmer in a German context. The right bower is the highest card, and it's the jack of the suit. So let's say spades is trump. The jack of spades then is the best card in the game. And then the second best card in the game is the jack of the other suit in the same color. So if jack of spades is the highest card, the jack of clubs, because it's also a black card, would be the second highest card. If hearts or diamonds were called, then the hearts and diamonds would be the highest and second highest. From there, it's the ace through the 9 of the rest of the suit that was called. So let's recap this. If spades was called, the highest card in the game is the jack of spades, then the jack of clubs, and then ace, king, queen, 10, 9 of spades. In general, many of you have figured out that if you have a card that's the same suit as whatever was laid first, you have to follow suit. So whenever, let's say I go first and I lay a club, if you have a club, you have to play it, etc., etc. If you don't have one, you can play whatever card you want. The goal, though, is typically to take a trick using the trump suit, because the trump suit will defeat anything that's not considered a trump suit, even if it wasn't the first card led. So I could play an ace of hearts, but if spades is trump and you lay a 9 of spades, you're still going to win the trick. The problem is you have to follow suit. So if I lay a heart, then you have to lay a heart, etc. So you want to make sure that you're careful and strategic about when you play your cards and how to play them in order to be successful in taking tricks. The goal is to get to 10 points. Typically, a lot of games use 4s and 6s to keep score kind of off to the side. That part really doesn't matter. It's more of a personal preference at that point. But there's going to be 5 tricks in the game, 1 for each card played around the circle. And after that, whoever gets the majority will get points. If my team called trump and we picked up or called it, then we get the majority, then we would get 1 point because we were supposed to win. We were like favored to win. If we get all the tricks, all 5 of them will get 2 points. If the other team gets the majority of tricks, they euchre us. And so if you euchre someone, you get 2 points. Basically, you were the underdog, so you get a bonus point for being the underdog. And then if you know anything about the game of euchre, you can also get 4 points by going alone. That basically means I got this, my partner can stay out of the game, and then go from there. There's a lot of information here about the game of euchre that we've talked about today. You want to make sure that you understand the basics. I know there's not as much in terms of strategy right now, but honestly, the biggest thing is just making sure you follow suit. And then our next lessons, we're going to talk about some probability aspects of the game and make sure that we relate that to our class for this semester. Have a good day, everyone.